Have you ever wondered what it's like to navigate spiritual growth while in a relationship with a narcissistic partner? This question might seem puzzling or even paradoxical, but the essence of spirituality often lies in the heart of such conundrums. Let's consider the story of a woman named Lily. Lily found herself in a challenging relationship with a spouse whose narcissistic tendencies tested her patience, her sanity, and her spirit. Yet it was this very relationship that led her to a path of profound spiritual growth. Lily's journey was not an easy one. Her husband's self-centeredness often left her feeling neglected, unheard, and unappreciated. His constant need for admiration and lack of empathy often led to emotionally draining situations. But Lily chose to view her situation not as a curse, but as a catalyst for her spiritual awakening. She began to see that her husband's narcissism was a mirror reflecting back to her the areas in her life where she needed to cultivate love and compassion. She realized that her husband's behavior was not a reflection of her worth, but an indication of his own inner struggles. This realization was her first step towards spiritual enlightenment. Lily's spiritual journey was marked by a deep sense of resilience and an unwavering commitment to inner growth. She learned to find solace and strength in her spirituality, using it as a beacon to guide her through her tumultuous relationship. She discovered a wellspring of inner peace amidst the chaos, and in doing so, she found a deeper connection with her own spirit. Her relationship with her narcissistic husband, while fraught with challenges, became a crucible for her spiritual transformation. She learned to embrace adversity, to see it not as a barrier, but as a bridge leading her towards deeper spiritual awareness. And so, Lily's story serves as a reminder to us all. It reminds us that even in the most challenging relationships, there is always an opportunity for spiritual growth. It teaches us that adversity can be a catalyst for spiritual awakening, leading us towards a path of deeper understanding and self-discovery. Remember, even in the darkest clouds, there is always a silver lining of spiritual growth. How do you protect your spiritual well-being while maintaining a relationship with a narcissistic partner? A daunting question indeed. Yet the answer lies in setting sacred boundaries. In our journey through life, we often encounter people and situations that test our spiritual fortitude. In these moments, it's essential to remember that we carry within us an inner sanctum, a sacred space. That's our spiritual haven. It's within this space that we find our peace, our serenity, and our spiritual strength. Let's consider the story of Jane. Jane was married to a man who could be charming one moment and emotionally draining the next. She found herself constantly walking on eggshells, trying to keep the peace, yet feeling spiritually depleted. One day, she came across an ancient wisdom teaching that spoke of the importance of creating and maintaining spiritual boundaries. Intrigued, Jane began to explore this concept. She started by identifying what she needed to feel spiritually nourished. She realized that she required time for meditation, walks in nature, and moments of silence to maintain her spiritual equilibrium. She decided these were non-negotiables in her life, her sacred boundaries. Jane communicated these boundaries to her husband. It wasn't easy. There were moments of resistance, moments of guilt, but Jane held firm. She started carving out time for herself, for her spiritual practices. She began to nurture her inner sanctum, her sacred space of peace. And in doing so, she discovered a newfound strength and resilience. While Jane's relationship with her husband remained challenging, she found that by setting sacred boundaries, she could protect her spiritual well-being. She learned to balance her love for her husband with self-respect, ensuring her spiritual wellness was not compromised. She discovered that maintaining personal boundaries wasn't a sign of selfishness, but a spiritual necessity. And so it is for all of us. In relationships that challenge our spiritual wellness, it's crucial to establish and maintain sacred boundaries. We must guard our inner sanctum, nurture our inner peace, and balance our love for others with self-respect. Boundaries are not walls, but bridges that lead us to a place of peace within ourselves. What does forgiveness mean to you in your spiritual journey? As we delve into this topic, let's explore the transformative power of forgiveness in our spiritual journey. Imagine, if you will, a woman named Grace. Grace was carrying a heavy burden. Her heart was weighed down by resentment and hurt caused by a narcissistic partner. She found herself trapped in a cycle of emotional turmoil, unable to break free from the chains of bitterness. Then, one day, Grace discovered an extraordinary spiritual practice: forgiveness. She realized that forgiveness wasn't about excusing her partner's actions or forgetting the pain he caused. Instead, it was about releasing the resentment that had been weighing her down, like a stone tied to her spirit. She began to view forgiveness as a form of spiritual liberation. It was a choice to let go of the pain and reclaim her inner peace. She discovered that by forgiving, she was not absolving her partner of his actions, but freeing herself from the prison of resentment. Forgiveness became a sacred practice for Grace, a spiritual ritual of releasing old wounds and inviting in compassion and understanding. It was a journey inward, a path that led to the sanctuary of her own soul. And what a transformative journey it was. As she embraced forgiveness, Grace felt a profound shift within. The resentment that once consumed her began to dissolve, replaced by a growing sense of peace and compassion. It was as if a heavy weight had been lifted from her heart. She realized that in forgiving, she was nurturing her own soul, tending to it with the gentle care of compassion. It became clear that forgiveness was not just about the other person, but about her own spiritual well-being. Through forgiveness, Grace found freedom. She released the chains of resentment and embraced a newfound sense of compassion and understanding. Her spirit, once burdened, felt lighter and more at peace. So, as we reflect on Grace's journey, let's ask ourselves, how can we incorporate the practice of forgiveness into our own spiritual journey? How can we too find liberation in releasing resentment and embracing compassion? Forgiveness isn't about the other person, it's about setting your own spirit free. How do you cultivate self-love as a connection to the divine within? This question may seem complex, but it's the crux of a spiritual journey, especially when navigating relationships with narcissistic partners. Picture this. A woman, let's call her Grace, found herself in a relationship with a man who was the epitome of narcissism. He was charming, charismatic, but also self-centered and manipulative. Grace felt like she was losing herself, diminishing her light to accommodate his ego. But Grace was a warrior, and at the heart of her struggle, she found a profound truth. Her worth was not defined by how he treated her, but by how she treated herself. This revelation sparked a journey of self-discovery, of self-love. Grace realized that self-love is not just about pampering oneself or seeking external validation. It's about honoring your divine essence, the sacred spark within you. It's about respecting yourself enough to set boundaries, to say no when something doesn't serve your higher purpose. In her relationship, Grace learned the importance of maintaining her connection with the divine, even when faced with adversity. She found that the more she loved and valued herself, the more she felt connected to a higher power. This was not an overnight transformation. It was a journey, a spiritual pilgrimage towards inner strength and self-worth. It required patience, courage, and most importantly, a deep and abiding love for herself. Grace's story is a testament to the power of self-love in maintaining a divine connection. It's a reminder that you are not just a vessel for someone else's ego, but a sacred being deserving of love and respect. Cultivating self-love is a spiritual practice, one that requires dedication and commitment. It's about recognizing your inherent worth and honoring it, not just in moments of solitude, but every day, in every interaction, especially those with challenging partners. So to answer the question, how do you cultivate self-love as a connection to the divine within? You start by loving yourself, by recognizing your worth, and by honoring the divine essence that resides within you. When you love yourself, you are honoring the divine within you. Remember that, dear ones, as you navigate your own spiritual journey. What lessons can your relationship with a narcissistic partner teach you about humility and compassion? It may seem paradoxical, but sometimes our most challenging relationships teach us the most profound lessons. Imagine the story of a woman named Lily. She was in a relationship with a narcissistic partner, and it was her journey that showed her the true essence of humility and compassion. Lily learned to transcend her ego, to see past the hurt and the anger. It was in this process of letting go, of understanding her partner's struggles, that she found a wellspring of compassion within herself. She also discovered humility, recognizing that she too was imperfect and capable of causing pain. Her relationship, as difficult as it was, served as a spiritual crucible. It was a space where she could burn away her ego, her resentment, and let the golden core of her spirit shine through. Challenging relationships are not just trials, but transformative lessons in humility and compassion. How can a challenging relationship with a narcissistic partner become an opportunity for spiritual evolution? Let's delve into the alchemical process of spiritual transformation. Picture this: a woman in the throes of a tumultuous relationship decides to seek a silver lining in her stormy cloud. Instead of succumbing to despair, she chooses to view her situation as a crucible, a vessel for change. She begins to perceive her struggles not as burdens, but as catalysts fueling her spiritual metamorphosis. Each argument, each heartache becomes a step towards enlightenment, a push towards a more profound understanding of herself and her place in the cosmos. She learns to transmute the pain inflicted by her narcissistic partner into wisdom, courage, and resilience. She discovers strength in vulnerability, peace amid chaos, and love amidst heartbreak. This woman, through her journey, exemplifies the power of spiritual alchemy. In the crucible of challenge, we find the gold of spiritual transformation.